Randi Olivea Otness. The following was recorded in 1976 with my dad, Erik, who was 74 years old at the time. He came to the United States in 1924. He tells the story of what led up to his coming, his journey across the United States on a train, and not being able to speak English on the way. He eventually ended up in Portland, Oregon, went to Benson Night School, and became a journeyman carpenter. He started a business and married my mother, a fellow Norwegian, in 1927. This is an amazing story of just one immigrant and the struggles that he endured on his journey to the land of opportunity. He had a wonderful life in America, and he and my mother were married almost 58 years before he died in 1985.
I think we'll start with when you were thinking about coming over here to this country.
Yeah,
And
I think that would be about...
Tell what year that was to begin with.
Yeah, you're going to...
Yeah, you go ahead and start in.
Well, I tell you, I had my Uncle Einar. He was in Montana. And he was a farmer, and he was a bachelor. But he liked it well in the woods, so mostly he was working in the woods. And the farm, he let that be taken care of by somebody else in that neighborhood. And when he was home in 1914, from there on, I started, he would write me a letter that said he was once a year or so. And once in a great while, he would send a letter to Mother. But it didn't happen very often.
Was he your mother's brother?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So when I started to get kind of discouraged with the way things went in Rendalen, I decided I wasn't going to. I had gone to agriculture school to take over the farm, but then I decided not to take the farm because I was responsible for all of the younger kids. My dad wanted to retire, and I had my youngest sister hadn't even started school, Oddrun. So I wrote to Uncle Einar telling him about this. So I got the letter back, and he said, "Why don't you come over here and look at it from distance?" So I thought, well, that was probably a good idea. And I didn't really come plan on to stay here.
Was he going to send you the money, or did you have your own money?
No, he said he would send me a ticket.
Yeah.
So then, of course, it was a lot of people that wanted to go to this country at the time, but the immigration was stopped from the 1st of January 1924 and up to the 1st of July. So I made up my mind I was going to come over here. And I went into Oslo before, the day or two before the 1st of July, and to get it to the consulate.
Yeah.
So that happened so that I stayed with a friend of mine from Rendalen, and then the evening before the 1st of July, 1st of August, I must be. Then we took a trip around down, he was going to show me where the consulate was. Well, we came there in the evening, and here it was full of people already, big line. So then, of course, I decided that I'd get in that line too, so I just went back up to his apartment, and then got some other clothes on, and got in the line. And of course, stayed there all night. And of course, I happened to be in the clique with five people about my age from Larvik there. And I don't know, it was the aunt or someone came there with some food and some drinks and stuff off and on. So I managed to get something to eat. And I finally fainted because that next morning. In the line, because then the sun was so darn hot, and standing still like that, nothing to sit on, you can imagine, stay on your feet all night.
Yeah.
So the cop took me down to a restaurant there. They had, and he asked if he could find a room for me there. And he took me into the room, and I lay down there. Then he came back in a couple of hours. And he said, I'm going to see to that you get your place back in the line. So I did that, and I was tickled pink. So then, of course, there were so many applications. So then I went back up to Rendalen again, to my home place. And then I got a notice that I would be coming, my time will come up in 1st of November.
They were just letting a certain amount go every month?
Yeah, well, I mean, just like so many, they could go at the time.
Yeah.
So, of course, I went into to Oslo one time, and then, just for a trip then, to get organized. So, then they set the date for me to leave on the Bergenfjord. I think it was, let's see, it must have been about, it must have been about the 8th
of what month?
of November.
And what year was that?
That was in 1924.
1924.
So I got on the ship.
Do you remember how much a ticket cost then?
No, I don't.
Have any
Because
idea at all?
Uncle Einar had already bought the ticket for me and sent it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I could probably have some dope on it somewhere, but I don't know. So I got on a boat, and I got together with a family from Larvik. Mm-hmm. There was the aunt and 3 or 4 young girls. And just happened so that I got together with this. However, I stayed in a cabin on the boat. There was 4 of us in there, and of course, I couldn't hardly be in there because this other guy was sick, but I wasn't sick a day. And we had, talking about the storm, we had the 2 days there wasn't hardly anybody. They got out for dinner. And one day it was only me and another fellow that came up there, and right when before we got to the eating part of it, one big wave came, and all of the dishes landed in the end of the big dining room. Yeah. But this fellow never got sick, and neither did I. And you should, that cabin we had, that just, I couldn't hardly stand it.
Probably stunk, didn't it?
Oh, it was awful. So anyway, we got to New York, and I think that was the 18th of November. I don't remember now.
How many days did it take then?
Well, it took a little more than ordinary because there was this. There must have been. No, I think my past crossed the 18th. Mm-hmm. So then I was on. Then of course, it happened so that this old aunt and this girls that I was talking about, that they were together with a lot. They were going to Chicago. And that was on the way I was going to go. So I went, so it was nice I had company up to Chicago.
You went on the train?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And of course, then, I felt awful lonesome there. I couldn't really speak. I had read a little English, but it was never, I found out that it was not good.
Yeah.
And I was standing out on the platform there in Chicago. I didn't even know how soon the train would come there.
You were all by yourself?
All by myself. And I had a suitcase and an overcoat and stuff and loaded down. So I got awful hungry, so I went into a restaurant there, the railroad restaurant right there, because I'd seen people going in there, and I thought, well, I will leave the platform for a while, but I was awful scared that the train was going to get away from me. And here was the first time I've seen Negroes, but I never talked to a Negro before, and I'm trying to order sandwiches and coffee.
Yeah.
So then I found that I didn't understand this time. First I was going there trying to take this order. But before you know it, was 5, 6 of the black guys standing there with a big white teeth, and they're looking at you and smiling and laughing, So I got kind of appealed about it, but I thought I would try it once more. And we sandwiches, a smørbrød in Norway.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I want butter and bread, because translated, it will be pretty close to the right thing, see?
Yeah.
Well, there was more negroes who were standing, a whole bunch of them standing there, and I knew how to order donuts and coffee, so I finally ordered that. And that was my main dish when I got any place where I had to eat. From then on up, I learned to eat. And anyway, finally the train come, but I was standing there with everything right out there, and I got on the right train. I think it was the fellow that came and kind of helped me, and, you know. So I got on the train, and
you're heading toward Montana.
then I was heading for Kalispell, Montana.
Yeah.
And going to Kalispell, you got to change train before you get to, you see Kalispell is right not so far away from the Glacier National Park. Mm-hmm. And they had a station up there. I don't remember a station I had to get off on. Well, anyway, it seemed like when you can't speak, everybody comes into a train when they stop and get new passengers, sit down by you and start to talk to you. And of course, yeah. I had more darn trouble with people coming to talk to me. So then in Shelby, Montana, they had, it was the fellow that came with, he understood I was a Norwegian. And you know, he scouted me around to see if anybody could speak Norwegian, but it was the second generation Finn he found there, and he come and trying to talk to me. Well, I could understand a little English, but I couldn't understand any Finnish. So we were sitting there in Shelby and trying to talk to each other. So here was the fellow came in, you know, a big suitcase and kind of a broad-shouldered fellow. And he stopped and he heard me talking to this guy, you see. So he says, "Är du svensk? Are you Swede?" Mm-hmm. "No, but I'm a Norwegian." Boy, that's the first word I ever heard, you know. I thought that I really could understand for a while. So he set down his suitcase by my place and sat by me. And I told him all about my background, and I was baptized, I guess, you know. This fella, he was a lumberman, and he had been there in Shelby on the convention. Mm-hmm. And I told him about, you know, I was going to meet my uncle in Kalispell and that he was a logger and all kinds of stuff. Now, it just happened so that this Gus Johnson.
That was the man who...
That was the name. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of timberland himself. And he knew about how the loggers were. After I told him my uncle was working in the woods logging. So he said, he says, "You're going to Kalispell, you got to change train." And he says, "I think I better go with you for safety's sake, in case your uncle isn't there." Mm-hmm. Which he did. So it's a place, I remember that station. Well, anyway, don't make any. So we got to Kalispell. Gus Johnson was with me. And, of course, Uncle wasn't on the platform meeting me.
No.
That's what so, Gus took his baggage off, and we went to a hotel. He put me in a hotel up there, and he stayed with me. And then he scouted around town to see if it was anybody knew Uncle Einar. Because Kalispell wasn't a very big place, and Gus Johnson, he had been a logger himself before he got up and bought forest land. So he found out on what camp my uncle was in, and he sent a man out and paid him for it to go out and get hold of my uncle and tell him that I was in town. Mm-hmm. So my uncle, he came, I think it could have been the second day, and it made it, but then when I got down, stayed in the hotel with me, took me some meals and everything, and my uncle got there, then of course and then he called to his wife in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and told her that when he came to Kalispell, that he had found a newcomer. He wanted to see that he was getting along all right. Yeah. He was in Kalispell.
Yeah.
So anyway, Uncle came and of course this was not. This must have been, well, I wouldn't say it, but it was a later part of November. Mm-hmm. So So I wanted a job. So he said, well, I will see what I can do. So he got me a job for the Swede contract, the logging contract. Warner was his name. I think it was Gus Warner. He was the Swede. And most everybody that worked for him was Swede. And they had a camp at the base of Glacier National Park almost, up in there. So I got a job out there, and I got an old Swede partner. They were swampers, they called it.
What's that mean?
And they are fixing up the road for the logging. They use nothing but horses up there for pulling the logs. Mm-hmm. So this old fellow, he was a real good old friend of this Ed Warner, the contractor. So I was sitting pretty, and I got along with this old man, see. And he was the courtier, this old fellow. He was 72 years old. And of course he told me about all of this partying and all of this logging and stuff. And he said, I never leave town before I'm broke. He says, I lay in the camp for a while, and then I go into town and have a good time. And of course there was prohibition at that time, in this country. But in Kalispell you could walk up to the bar and order drinks. Of course, I didn't drink. I'd probably take a drink or so, but anyway, so this camp, it was pretty high elevation. However, it was pretty nice forest there, and they started to snow so bad the 23rd of December that they closed down the camp, and everybody went back to Kalispell. Mm-hmm. So I got a ride with one of the boys up there. He had a big automobile, and snow was getting to be bad. They could get through, but anyway, he got to Kalispell. So I took him to that Hotel Norton, they call it. So I figured that is awful close to Norway in Bernsson. This it was. A bunch of loggers was staying up there. So then I had already made up my mind I was going to leave Kalispell or the woods there, because this guy is more southern fellows in the logging camp. Norwegian Swedes, and they drank a lot, and they had hardly ever had anything left when they had been in town of money. I mean, so I want to get away from it. So that's how I happened to use it now. So in the meantime, during the Christmas holidays, do I stress this out too much?
No.
So on Christmas morning, I just dressed up in my best clothes up at the hotel there and went for a walk. And there was the loggers was there. They were none of them up because they had been partying. So I walked way down, and here I seen the pond with the ice on. Well, it was like a small lake, and lots of people out there skating. But they were poor skaters, to my way of thinking. So I walked down there, and I watched the skaters. So then it was a young boy and a girl. This boy must have been about 14 or 15 probably. And the other girlfriend, he was skating by me and he said something in English. So I tried to answer him. So he said, well, are you norsk? He said, Norwegian. Yes, I was norsk. Well, he got this skating again, and I was in hope that I could have a pair of skates, because I could skate better than any of them, and I thought at least my shortcomings are that I can't speak, but I can skate. Yeah. So I got tired. I figured that somebody would give me a pair of skates. So I started to climb up. It was kind of high. It was a hill up to the road from the. So I started to crawl up there finally, and wish I had skates because I saw them how, So then I noticed me, they hollered to me, he said, well, I want to try my skates. Yes, so I was down there in the Yippie. And I skated, oh boy, I really showing off. So he says, this was Christmas Day, forenoon. So he says, will you come home with me for Christmas dinner? Yeah, well, I said, I sure would like to, but I said, I don't want to go because your parents probably won't like it. I said, if it is all right with your parents. Well, he says, so then he found out that I stayed at the Hotel Norton up there. So he says, well, I'll go home and talk to my parents, and then I know it is all right, and then I'll come back up to the hotel and tell you, which he did. So I came there, and they were real nice people. And his dad, he was from Hedmarken, which isn't far away from my home place. That's close to Hammar. You remember where that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I came there for dinner, and then we had a nice dinner, and then we were going to go to church that evening. So then I went along to church too. And here I met a whole bunch of these old farmers and their wives. And of course, after then they wanted to hear from the old country. You know, I mean, we were sitting around there and talking about the old country, you know, and of course I was pretty well acquainted anyway, and I'd been around a lot. And now they got so many friends, and one fellow come up to me and he says, would you like to come to our place? So I says, oh, no, I have a hotel and I'm planning on to go to Seattle. He says, we haven't got any children, and we got a nice farm in outskirts of Kalispell, and he says, you can come there and you can be our son from here on, you know. Well, of course, that wasn't in, you know, this people's name was Comstead.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I had made up my mind then, I was, before, like I said, that I was going to go to Seattle, but I wanted to stay in Kalispell over the holiday, because after I had been to the church and met all of these people, I was invited to many places. So then it was the fellow that I got acquainted with up in the camp, from Hans Svestam. And he came up to the hotel one day, and I told him I was going to Seattle. Oh, he says, guys, I will go along. And I thought it would be kind of nice. So I had already bought the ticket for the 2nd of January. I wanted to stay over holiday in Kalispell on 2nd of January. So then his hands went and bought the ticket too, and went along. I figured it would be nice to have him along, because he had been in this country a whole year, and I figured he could.
He was from Norway too.
He was from Røros.
Oh.
Norway, which isn't too far.
Farther up north.
Farther north. It's about halfway between Rendalen and Trondheim.
Yeah.
So he went along to Seattle.
Why were you going to Seattle?
Well, I was so, there was so much work going on. When you heard these boys up in the camp, well, in Seattle, they used to drug you off of the street there to get you to work for them.
Oh, what kind of work was it?
Well,
it wasn't logging, was it?
Of course, it was logging and sailing and all kinds of stuff like that. But of course, they happened to be all wrong.
Oh.
Because we got to Seattle, took in a hotel bus, and then when we got off there, and of course we took that hotel bus and went to the hotel, which was way too expensive for me. Because that morning, before we were going to leave, this Hans came up to my room, and he said, Erik, I can't go with you, because I happened to get acquainted with a girl last night. And this morning, when I woke up, he said, the girl was gone, and so was my money. But he had his ticket, and so he said, I got a ticket. So I said, Hans, that's no problem, because I got money, and we will get in Seattle and get a job right away.
No, why don't you go ahead and start now?
Yeah.
Are you into Seattle now, or?
Yeah.
You can go ahead and.
As we came to Seattle, and it was the buses on the outside of the railroad station. So we took the first bus that we seen there. It took us to a rather expensive hotel, more than what we could afford to pay.
Now, who was along with you?
This Hans Svestam.
Oh, I thought he couldn't go.
I told him that he didn't. Wasn't that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That was no problem. I told him.
Oh. Because you
I
have
got money.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So anyway, we stayed in that hotel, and of course there was no jobs to be gotten.
Yeah.
For us anyway. So I was just stuck this out for it must have been about a week, I think. And one thing I remember so well that one night we were going out to the dance hall, and Well, I was standing there by the door, and there was a girl that came there and wanted to talk to me. And of course I couldn't carry on conversation. All of a sudden she grabbed my hat. I had a nice, what we call a hair hat in Norway. And she run back into a room in the back there. So I want to run after her, so I went outside and seen two policemen outside. So I managed to go out and get one of those guys to get back and get my hat back.
Why did she take your hat?
Well, probably kind of sporting girl, I suppose. So, anyway, I have, I probably mentioned it before that Larsen had been in Norway. That's somewhere before I left. And visiting us.
What relation was he to you?
Yeah, his wife, Brynhild, was the first cousin of my mother.
Oh, okay.
So.
And he lived in Portland.
I lived in Portland, and when he was in Norway visiting, he gave me his business card. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea about coming to Portland, but anyway, I still had that with me. So I thought I'd better go to Portland before I get broke and probably get a job. So that's how I came to Portland. Mm-hmm. So, well. I took the train at left hand, I think it was $10 I gave him. And then I think I had 18 left myself after I bought the ticket. So, well, I came into the depot, and I remember so well, Brynhild was telling me, when you get to America, you got to, look right, shine your shoes and stuff. So the first thing I did when I got off the train, it was 4 shoe shiners there right by the depot shining shoes. So I walked up there, had my shoes shined, and this guy was talking all the time. And I gathered from what he was saying that it had been a robber that had been operating in Portland, and that night before, they had been to cruise to him in Irvington. He had run into a cruise line and fell down, and that he got up fast and he got away again. Yeah. This can make quite an impression on me. So anyway, I thought I'd better get up to Larsen.
You didn't know where they lived, though, did you?
Well, I had their address.
Yeah.
And I showed this to the people, and they were trying to tell me about taking the Bowman car and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I went up. I seen the streetcar going by up there, So I went up there, and when the streetcar stopped, I got in there and gave him $1, for sure it was enough. So he just gave me a transfer, because they always give me a check. Gave me a transfer to go to some other place. He's telling me that what streetcar I could take. But that didn't mean anything to me. So I didn't really realize at the time that that was it. But the next streetcar that came, I done the same thing. I got in on the streetcar and took out $1 and gave him money. And he done the same thing. He gave me a hat. So I thought, well, the heck with you guys. So I was walking down towards the depot again. And it was getting dark then.
To the train depot?
Yeah, to the train depot.
Yeah.
So I looked at it, I seen Westover up there. Mm-hmm. And I just made up my mind that that's where Larsen living. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. So I thought, well, I better walk up there. So I kept on walking, and I ran out of street, and then it was more or less trail up. Well, I thought that probably that takes me up to Larsen's anyway. I kept on walking, and it got so bad with rush that I just had to go with my hand in front of me, and it was dark too then, by that time. So, well, I pushed it down and walked, and I could turn to north south, because I went across the highway, where the Washington Street, you go up, up Burnside and keep on going up in the hills up in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I went across that road. Mm-hmm. And I went a year later, almost a year later, I found out exactly where I came down, but it didn't. So I remember I came down on the steps going up to the
zoo?
The zoo.
Yeah.
That's right. That I didn't know
at the time
where I had been before that. Well, it was that That's summer, next summer, because a friend of mine and I went up to the park there, and I recognized the steps that I came down, and there's the big steps down there. So, so anyway, I finally then got down to Burnside Street, and I was looking for a hotel then. So I got in at a hotel down there, and well, I don't think I had anything to eat. I went up on a hotel, went to bed. And so then I was sleeping, and then I heard an awful rattle on the door. So I just let him hammer. I was afraid they were going to break down the door. I figured it was some, some drunk person or something. So I finally reached over. I reached to the door and unlocked it, and had 2 policemen come in, rushing in here now. And they started to question me. So, and it took a long time before I realized what it was, but I could gather from what the shoe shine that had been talking to, telling me about this. That was the inch and a quarter Jimmy, see, that they were talking.
What was it called?
Inch and a quarter Jimmy, because he was breaking in places, and he had a bar that was inch and a quarter wide, and he would break in, get that into the door and break them open.
Oh, what was he stealing?
Anything that he could find.
Oh.
So anyway, I finally got rid of this cops, but both of them gave me the card. And they said, when you learn to talk, we would sure like you to get in touch with us. So just reminiscing this experience.
Yeah.
So then finally, that next day, I called Larson. And they told me how to get up to their place. So I got it so that I could understand what they were talking about. So I got up there, and I remember the stop. It was the end of the line right on 41st, right west of the Larson. They were just one block up. And the streetcar conductor took me around the block and up to the Larson. I remember.
Oh, he was afraid you wouldn't be able to find it,
he was afraid because I had showed him the cards, and I tried to tell him what I wanted to do. So, of course, they were really nice in the Larsons, and I stayed there for a week. So then Larson, in the meantime, he was talking about wondering if I wouldn't want to go to work for him. So I thought, sure, I was looking for a job. So he had a job out in Oregon City. I don't know if you remember, it used to be an old folks' home there on the old highway right by the river.
I remember.
So Larson took me I had been with Larson about a week. Then he drove by the Dalles. I was moving down to the Dalles. And then he come, that morning. And then we went from there to Oregon City on the job. And Larson pulled around there to about 11 o'clock, and it was another labor there. And him and I was digging. And of course, I didn't pay any attention. I figured Larson was going to come back and pick me up. But here this guy left, and Larson didn't show up. And I see the streetcar going back and forth out there. So I thought, well, I didn't know which way Portland was, if I should go to the right or to the left. But I thought, well, I'm just going to go down there. I seen a little shack out there where you stay waiting when you're waiting for the streetcar. So I thought, I'm going to take the first streetcar that comes and hoping that is the right one. And sure enough, that took me to Portland. And I remember it stopped down by Doll and Penny.
Where was that?
Doll and Penny. That was on, I think, on 2nd and a couple of blocks south of Washington Street, I think. Doll used to have a saloon there. So I came down there, and then, I didn't know, then I had to get up to Dallas. And the only time I'd been there was that morning when he picked me up. And of course, so I thought, well, I don't want to take the streetcar because they threw me out it all the time. So I thought I'd better walk over there. And I knew then what side of the river I was supposed to be. I walked across the bridge and I landed up, I remember so well, this place later on. I came up, you remember where Gallows lived?
Yeah.
On the 39th?
Yeah.
That is a through street. That would be, the south of it. It's a through street. I forgot what street. Well, anyway, I walked up that street. And I came down, come up there, and Dawes were on 42nd. And I could recognize Dawes' house if I came through it because you had 3 windows upstairs together, on the second floor up there. And I knew they lived on the 42nd. So I walked, and I knew pretty well that when I came up there, that I had to go to the right, when I got up to the 42nd. Which I did. But that 42nd didn't go through, so I had to jog back and forth up to the 43rd or 41st. And I finally got back over to Dawes, where they had the 3 windows. Of course, Dagny met me in the door. She was crying. But because Brynhild and Dagny had been talking to each other on the telephone. and sure enough, you think, I guess I'd forgotten about me.
Oh.
And it was late in the evening when I got to the house. So then Dagny called Martin and gave him talking to him.
Yeah.
Well, from there on, then I was getting along pretty well.
So you went to work for him then, huh?
Oh, yes. That was the first day I worked for him. You see, that same night that I got launched. So I worked for Larson on... I was oh yes, I was a neighbor, So then he told me that he says, why don't you take out the journeyman's card? And he says, I will pay you 50 cents an hour then if you do that. Otherwise you were getting 35 cents an hour. Oh sure, anything was all right as long as I got 15 cents more an hour. So that's how I got into the carpentry.
But you went to night school at Benson, didn't you?
Well, I went to night school at Benson, and then I was taken in the correspondence school besides. And then, of course, the citizen school, too. So I was often busy on there.
Yeah.
I was going to school, and I would practice, just so I could speak a little better, too. Or speak at all.
Speak period.
Speak period, is right. So...
Had you started playing soccer then by that time, too?
Yeah, and, you see, I had already been playing soccer for him because this Mark Olsen, this fellow that was together with me on the boat, he came to Portland, and of course Larson had called him as soon as I came there. So he came up to my place, really, up to Larson's. So, I see now how that was. I was kind of getting myself lost. They had just started the soccer team in, Viking soccer team. They had just started.
When you came?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they all Norwegians or?
Norwegians, Swedes, and Danes. So I don't know who. Yeah, I think it was this Martin Olsen that told me that they were going to practice. And that was the first Sunday after I came to Boston, by the way. And here, of course, I met all of these guys, and I had played soccer. I was played on the A team in Norway. So I could, that felt right at boom from there on, because there I met Magne. And, of course, all the rest of the boys. So, I didn't get going from them at all, because Magne and him and 3 other fellows was having a place stadium down in Scandal. And I used to visit them a lot, and they used to come and see me, So we were going to dances and parties and stuff. And of course the soccer team then, there was a lot of this Scandinavians around, and of course a lot of this girls, second generation Norwegians, they were at soccer team, and of course they always, trying to entertain us fellows, And I don't know how long I had been here before Magnus told me that he had a sister, or how I don't into Randi then. Oh, I think it was Santa Norway then had a meeting and the dances over on the west side, Kitchen Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think was where I met Randi the first time after Kitchen Hall.
That was 1925 then, huh?
That was in 1925, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after I got to the acquaintance with all the soccer boys, of course, we were playing soccer almost every Sunday during the season in Portland and going down to Longview, and we really had a nice time. So, oh yes, and of course, Lars, he kept very busy on the construction field, and I had some bookkeeping. In Norway. And every Friday night I went up to Larsen and made out the checks and entered it into his book. And I couldn't write English, but I could do that. And he paid me, I don't remember how much he did pay me coming up to Friday night. And of course, Larsen, I got to do the payout. So it was a great help for me, Often there, I went out with them. Well, finally I met Randi, and of course, I thought it was a pretty nice girl.
Yeah. It appears it didn't take you too long to get married, huh?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember how long it took before I got married, but I would say it probably was the biggest part of a year, in a way, after I first met her. Because we got married in March in 27.
In 27.
And so then you see now, big placed up in Anthony, I think.
When you first got married?
Yeah.
You didn't live on Fremont?
No.
Yeah.
Well, we had entered the house, I think it was Anthony on the east side, Anthony Street. And I don't remember how long we were there. Because I remember that we had a heck of a time when we got married. I think it was something that I left down there. We were up, I think we celebrated up at Dallas. But I remember the socks or something, that pair of socks that fit my suit or something like that. I forgot. But anyway.
Who was at your wedding?
Yeah.
The Nelsons and Beckmans were there, weren't they?
The Beckmans had the wedding for us, I'm sure.
Yeah. How did you get to know them?
Well, they were friends with Randi.
Oh.
Oh, yes. She had known. You see, she worked with Lillian up at Carson.
Oh, Lillian was there too?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
So that's how we got acquainted. And and then I thought I wanted to get something for myself. So then I bought this little double garage fixed up for the front of my little dining room and a bedroom. And there was a little toilet room and then a little bill on the side, for washroom or stuff like that.
Was that the place on Fremont then?
No, that was on 42nd, just block north of Fremont, right across from the school ground on Roman School.
Oh,
And we stayed there for, it must have been about 3 years, I think. So then it happened so that my neighbor next door, his brother-in-law had a house on Fremont on 44th. And this fellow was ready to lose that place because he had trouble to make the payments. So I traded our house on 42nd for this house on Fremont. And I don't know what I paid him in booth. I don't think I probably paid him anything because he owed quite a mortgage on that. And by that time I had the place on 42nd paid for. I remember so well. When I paid that, I came, it was a Dashon mortgage company, they had a mortgage on it, and I bought it. And I remember the last payment was supposed to be made. I didn't have quite enough money, because I gave him my paycheck, I remember. And it was only a matter of a couple of $3. But I didn't give up. He gave me paid in full. I said, I will pay you this, whatever it was later on.
Yeah.
The next payday, most likely. So anyway, it didn't take me too much long to see that up. I saved a few bucks as I went along, even when I was single. So when we got to Fremont, I don't remember what kind of mortgage we had, but it was quite a bit of mortgage left on it. However, it didn't take too long to pay for it.